to Uniquely Spoken Podcast, empowering healthcare, where transparency sparks transformation. Are you ready to dive into conversations that will spark ideas and inspire action? This is a podcast that refuses to accept the status quo. We'll take an inside look at what's really happening behind the scenes in long-term care settings. We aim to expose critical issues through authentic stories and practical research, uniting nationwide to eliminate alarming outcomes that are existing in long-term care settings nationwide and create safer environments for everyone. All across social media, staff, residents, families, loved ones are showing you transparently the challenges and what is happening inside of these long-term care settings. Uniquely Spoken LLC is pulling back the curtains and calling for a nationwide collaborative action to spark solutions. The time for change is now. And this is episode 3, Medication Management, a touch of reality, the nurse's journey. You don't want to miss this. I am Juanita, the founder of Uniquely Spoken LLC. I started this podcast to ignite change in healthcare, starting with long-term care settings. It is time to transform nursing homes and rehabilitation centers, assisted living and memory care communities to all become premier long-term care settings nationwide. It is time for all long-term care settings to receive a 5-star quality and customer service rating. It starts now, and it starts with me. It starts with you, and you. And the time is now. Today we are taking a deep dive into the risk associated with medication management, exposing the complex hurdles nurses and medication aides face in long-term care settings. This mission is to provide a clear and honest perspective on why staffing ratios matter for medication management, staff security, resident safety, and regulatory changes. Now let's recap on the 2024 Nursing Home Staffing Study, which served as a cornerstone for shaping current regulations and policies that we discussed in episode 2. ABT's analysis suggested higher staffing levels might improve outcomes. CMS aligned with the general direction of ABT's recommendations, but implemented a modified version to make compliance more practical based on feasibility concerns, workforce shortages, cost implications. Understandably so, but the time to find a solution that will meet all of the recommendations and regulations is now. Unfortunately, LPN, LVNs, licensed practical and vocational nurses were excluded from the ABT Associates recommendation for staffing ratios, even though ABT highlighted their role in care delivery, which had alarming results in that 2024 nursing home staffing study. CMS stated we are not setting a minimum staffing standard for LPN, LVNs, the staff managing the most critical aspect in long-term care settings. Medications. So let's talk about some medication management staffing requirements and key points for assisted living and memory care communities. Most states do not mandate a fixed staff to resident ratio. Instead, they require sufficient staff or adequate staff to meet residents' needs, and this includes medication management. Medication aides are supervised by an RN or an LPN, and they must have on-call staff or be on site. Texas, Illinois, and Pennsylvania are among the few states with explicit ratios for assisted livings. And the rise of social media has given nurses and medication aides a powerful platform to share their experiences, exposing the reality of long-term care challenges to a global audience. Viral posts and videos capture their exhaustion, burnout, and overwhelming pressures. Some even show nurses and aides falling asleep on medication carts due to sheer fatigue. Millions of responses echo these concerns, emphasizing the urgent need for systemic change. Nursing homes and rehabilitation centers, assisted living and memory cares have become daunting workplaces for many professionals, not just because of staffing ratios and low pay, but due to the immense risk placed on their licensures and certifications based on regulatory expectations and demands. Transparency is key to exposing the real root causes of medication errors in long-term care settings. Unveiling these causes is critical to fostering real change by exposing medication administration challenges, unreported mistakes, systemic inefficiencies, unattainable regulations, and disturbing statistics. The goal is for regulators and facilities to move toward meaningful improvements rather than overlooking life-threatening risk. Medication management, the daily journey. It's time we take an inside look at key components of long-term care medication management that stem from several interwoven factors demanding precision, efficiency, and adequate staffing. Each component will add complexity, reinforcing the need for systemic improvements and stronger, realistic support structures. This is a touch of reality.
Here you go, Mr. Wallace. Just this one first, all right? Little sip of water.
Goes down easier than last week. Thank you.
You're doing great. One more whenever you're ready.
All right, slow and steady.
Now let's talk about a key player in long-term care medication management, the medication cart. Medication carts are more than just storage units. They are the backbone of daily med passes, storing various forms of medication and often stuffed to capacity. If these carts could talk, they'd have unique and fascinating stories to share. They are designed for the demands of long-term care medication management. Medication carts come in various styles and sizes, tailored to support diverse resident needs and intense staff workloads. Oftentimes, assisted living and memory care communities use more distinct, less institutional carts, but the contents and challenges are no different. As you note on top of the cart, you may find a paper medication record, which is often replaced by a computerized system, a laptop, or a tablet, but the structure remains the same. This system is built to maintain efficiency and ensure safe medication administration in the long-term care environment where precision is everything. Precision is often compromised by polypharmacy, being a major underlying factor for alarming medication outcomes. Polypharmacy is the practice of residents taking multiple medications simultaneously. This is an overwhelming challenge in long-term care settings. Nurses and medication aides struggle under the weight of overflowing medication carts and complex regimens that demand precision and vigilance. With a high percentage of residents taking more than 5 medications, a single medication pass is staggering and a major factor for errors. To mitigate risk, nurses and medication aides must verify each medication order 3 times before administering it. This requires verifying the medication orders on the medication labels of the prescriptions align with the orders in the electronic health record or medication administration record. Then returning to sign off medications are taken once med pass for each resident is completed. If the resident has an order for a narcotic opioid, it requires additional documentation. We also must mention that challenges exist with polypharmacy even more when residents struggle to take all their medications at once, preferring to space them out or take them one at a time, adding yet another layer of complexity with polypharmacy. Specifically in nursing home and rehabilitation centers, you often have residents who receive their medications through a feeding tube, which is their way of receiving nutritional support. This process is an intricate, time-intensive process, especially when it comes to polypharmacy. This includes verifying tube placement, retrieving and crushing medications, administering each one with water flushes before and after each medication, unless the pharmacy have completed a drug interaction review and determined the medications may be administered together. Tube feeding and water bottles require labeling with resident identification, flow rate, date, and time. Feeding pumps require troubleshooting, and tubes often are clogged. That's a common issue, requiring extra steps to clear. There are also medications such as Dilantin that require the tube feeding to be held 1 hour prior and 1 hour after administration. Another form of tube feeding is administering the tube feeding via bolus. This is when the nurse administers by gravity, and depending on how thick the formula is, depends on the time consumption necessary to ensure administration due to slower rates. Managing multiple tube feed heightens the pressure to complete tasks efficiently. Diabetes management. Diabetes management is a major undertaking with prevalence rates estimated between 25% and 34% of residents in the United States long-term care settings. Most diabetic residents require 1 to 4 finger stick tests per day, with insulin administration holding the same parameters, demanding precision in dosage and timing. Each blood glucose device must be disinfected and allowed to dry between uses to uphold infection control standards. Abnormal readings may result in notifying the physician to determine additional insulin orders, and additional documentation is attached to this. And with studies showing a high prevalence of cataract And there are other common medication forms that are a part of the medication administration. Patches. Patches requires an initial and just as you thought, IV medications and fluids. If you are a listener, imagine. If you are a viewer, take a look at what the drawers of a medication cart looks like. Bottled medications, liquid medications, inhalers, nebulizers, and vital sign equipment. These carts were built for long-term care settings for a reason. And for the viewers, you can see where there are dates on the medication bottles. And I mentioned the vital sign equipment. That comes with its own story. Vital signs. Monitoring blood pressure and pulse before administering certain medications is a non-negotiable safety measure, especially with 70% of nursing home residents having hypertension, high blood pressure, and having orders to obtain vitals pre-medication. Most nurses prefer to take their own vitals for accuracy, but this adds significant time to medication passes and may result in notifying physicians for next steps. So after reviewing all of this, all the way from episode 1 to where we are now, episode 3, allowing transparency as it relates to medication management, let's stop and do the math. If a nurse or a medication aide has 25 residents and includes complexities, the regulatory window equates to 7.2 minutes per resident. This time includes medication prep, feeding tube protocols, vital sign monitoring, nebulizer treatments, diabetes management. We can't leave out polypharmacy and other pharmacy forms of medication. Not to mention locating residents, encountering behaviors, and having to provide staff support and oversight, along with unpredictable interruptions. Does this shed light on why there are high numbers in medication errors, high turnover rates, and alarming outcomes, and why the time is now? Medication management is just a major portion of the RNs, LPNs, LVNs, and medication aides' daily journey, and the challenges exist regardless of which is managing the medication. Medication management is only one major piece of a much larger puzzle. Balancing resident care, regulatory compliance, unforeseen health conditions, and the sheer weight of responsibility make nursing in long-term care settings truly demanding. Staffing ratios shape your workload, stress levels, and most importantly, the overall safety of your residents and operation security. Join the conversation. Share your story. We are looking for solutions. What solutions you recommend to transform challenges with medication management? What system or processes have you used that were effective? Our med pass is overwhelming. Your firsthand experiences help paint the real picture, the one that must be seen, heard, and acted upon. Make your voice matter. Speak up and share your story. The time is now. Thank you again for joining us. We broadcast every Tuesday, 5:30 a.m., 8:30 a.m., 3:30 p.m., 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time to allow accommodations for all time zones. Now, don't forget to tune in next week. This will be an interesting episode. Episode 3, Medication Management, a touch of reality, the nurse's journey. Thank you for joining us on Uniquely Spoken LLC podcast. Please subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Remember to connect with us. Follow, comment, share, be a guest, subscribe. Visit us at uniquelyspokenllc.com/podcast. That's UNIQUELESPOKENLC.com/podcast. Or if you are a viewer, scan our QR code. Please remember to stay informed, stay empowered, and keep the conversation going. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you next week.